yeah, we give consultation to all kinds of discrimination, not only people who are discriminated because of their origin, but also because they are disabled or their age or sexual orientation or all kinds of discrimination. But as you see at the first, on the first statistics here, racism with 42% is the topic that is dealt with the most. Yeah, this is the most cases that we have, 42% racism, and then following that is 38% people with disabilities who come, and then the rest of the categories come. And so from like, these are numbers from statistics from 2021. And in this year, we consulted 158 persons. And the next folia shows you in which kind of topics they came to us with. And so the first, furthermost topic was work with 18%, so discrimination in the working field. But then already with 13% comes the area of housing, because these 2 points, these 2 fields in life are existential, work and living. So this is the points that the people come, and we know that there's much more discrimination, but you know, it's difficult to come to us to do this step, especially in the field of housing, because the people are concentrated to find a house, and so it's not their first aim to fight the discrimination. But anyway, still many people come to us. So in 2000, the next would show, in 2017, my colleagues made an, they brought out this booklet, because they dealt a lot with the housing and racism in the housing field. And so they did they did a testing, a series of testings. So it was, maybe if you show the next one, it's they checked out with 40 apartments that they called. You know, there was one group of people who have had German names, sounding also no accent and everything. And then they called for a special apartment. And then there was another group of persons who had no German names and accents, who asked for the same houses and apartments. Everything else in their cases was the same, income and all of this. So, and in this testings, they found out that in 60% of the applications, discrimination because of the origin were made. Excuse my English, okay? But so 60%, you know, 23% you could not say anything about it, and only 17% was no discrimination. So this is a real strong incident yeah, it's a reality here. When we work, we work a lot with the Equal Treatment Act, the European. This is the next picture. Yeah, it's a European law, as you know, I'm sure, and it was introduced to Germany in 2006. So we are happy about this law, and we try to use it a lot to put more pressure on the housing companies, and we have the possibility to sue them, but not many of our clients go to this step. But still, if we address the housing companies, we can point on this law and say this is not this is against the law that you do and whatever. So it's a good thing to have. And also later in the discussion, we all would be interested in how you use this law in the different other cities. And so of course, Leipzig knows, or the government also in the whole of Saxony knows, that racial discrimination is a big problem. So what does Leipzig and Saxony do to fight it? So the next folia, would be. So the state of Saxony pays our organization to fight the discrimination. So we have a good funding and also 2 to 3 years of funding, which is not normal for social organizations. Usually they only get 1 year or whatever. It's difficult to get the funding, but Saxony knows it's a real problem, so we have to face it. And so, for example, also the city of Leipzig also pays a part of, like my working space is paid by the city of Leipzig, because Leipzig also wants discrimination to be fight against. Then also Leipzig encourages and financial projects, like, for example, Kontaktstelle Wohnen, that I guess you also worked with or you got to know already, or Plattform Wohnen. It's a network where people come together, all of this to talk about, to think about, and to face this problem. Also, the city has a round table where participants from the politics and everything from the state, the city come together and talk. And also just recently, initiated by one of the parties, is that the city of Leipzig decided to ask us to do regular testings. Yeah, every 2 years to do these testings, to find out and get the numbers and see how it is, and if it gets, and then also do, and then they also want to talk about workout standards. And then if a company meets the standards, they are going to get a certain seal of approval. I hope this Siegel, it's called in Germany. We are right now, we were asked to do it, but we are not quite sure if we like this idea or not, because it's difficult, if you, what kind of standards do you set up, and how do you, then you have to check, are they fulfilled or not, or whatever. We don't want to do a kind of greenwashing. So we are still in the process of talking to the town about this, but yeah, we are focused on this theme. Yeah, for now, this is just a short introduction about the possibilities and the situation in Leipzig, and I'm happy to join the discussion later with you.
Thanks a lot. Thank you for your presentation. It's quite interesting to have an overview of what the Bureau does and what are the elements to be addressed. Is there any burning question for Afsane, or shall we leave it for the discussion afterwards? Annika, yes, please.
Maybe one direct question. Thank you very much for the overview. In some former discussions within our project, I had also explained colleagues that there is this process with the LWB, with the municipal housing company here in Leipzig, which is quite an important actor. Of course, there are many other private companies, but the municipal housing company is at least one segment of the housing market where the city council and the administration has some right to have a say how they do it. So we know from the Department for Migration and Integration that they are about to develop a kind of new scheme how to allocate housing. Mm-hmm. And it would be very interesting if you know about this process more, or what options you see there, also how your office is able to influence such processes.
Yeah, well, yeah, they have a new kind of scheme, and they try to distribute the houses more just, because in the past they had a really bad list where they put all the migrants on, and they were, they said it's not discriminating, but we and many others were, very angry about this list, which we thought was very discriminating. Over the years, we talked a lot to the LWB, and also recently we talked about this new kind of program where they have, they don't show too much, but they have a kind of a committee of many people from all over the LVB itself, and they meet, and whenever there's an apartment where there are many people applying and they have to decide who gets this apartment, they try to get together and talk about every single apartment that they give out, so no discrimination can occur. But the weak point is that the single Vermieter, how do you say? The single persons who are addressed, yeah, in this, who rent out the houses, they decide if this flat comes into this discussion. If they decide they are not going to give it to a migrant because they have good reasons, it's not going to get into this pool. So still, every single person that works there is, if this single person has prejudices and whatever, it's going to be a problem. Although the company itself has high ideals now and tries not to discriminate, still they need a lot of training and talking, and of course, people who complain if they have if they experience the discrimination.
Annegret, please. I think you have a
very shortly. Thank you, Afsane. I think you, in a way, already answered to my question. My question was: you talked about awareness by the municipality that there is discrimination and something has to be done. I wanted to ask about other players on the housing market and the urban society. So, how would you assess the awareness that in Leipzig discrimination is an issue?
The private, you mean the private or the smaller companies or whatever? All
For instance, yes.
There's not, well, if you look at their sites, you know, we regularly, if some person comes to us with a discrimination, that he or she has been met with, yeah, we look at the sites, yeah, and we write a letter of complaint. And looking at these sites, you know, they don't even have an English translation, except LVB. The others, not at all. They don't. Sometimes they say we are open for everybody, but they look mostly they show pictures and everything of old people or something that they're aware of, but really it's really not, I think they're not aware of it, or they're not very open. So it's really a long way to go.
Yeah.